What's going on, everyone? Stained Glass Assassin here. I wanted to drop the second part of the MCU Phase 4. Obviously, the first video was about the movies. This one's going to be all about the television shows. And like the movies, there's a lot to take in with the TV side of things. There's just a lot of shows, so let's get right into it. Now, when I read which shows were going to be produced, there were a few particular shows that I was really interested in. And like many people, the first three shows had piqued my interest because, they were established characters and it was going to be interesting to see what they would do post Thanos, which obviously led to WandaVision. Now, WandaVision started off strong. I really enjoyed the first couple episodes. It had that campy vibe, the black and white, transitioning to color and the sitcom references. But by the time it got into the meaty center of the show, I felt the writing got, what's the word? I guess convoluted. They were trying to figure out what was happening in general, of course, Vision's existence, trying to figure out Wanda's powers, and then we got the introduction of Sword and all those characters and the subplots. You got Monica Rambeau's introduction, Agatha Harkness, and then, of course, just the people in town itself. But that being said, that's not my biggest gripe with the show. I mean, I did lose interest by the time 7, 8, 9 rolled around, but if you watched the first video, you know that I called Wanda a villain, because after the events of this show, that's what she is now. Because she essentially kidnaps an entire town of thousands of men, women, and children, holds them against their will, alters their minds, and puts up a big barrier preventing people to come save the day. So I wasn't happy that they went that direction. I didn't want her character to essentially go the House of M route. No, I know that this isn't exactly House of M, but for me, I got the House of M vibes to it. She had that whole mental breakdown and created a universe or a reality that would make her happy. And of course, in the comics, she's been perceived as a villain before. Obviously, before she joined the Avengers, and after the events of House of M, she wasn't exactly the most well-liked person for obvious reasons, but I don't know. There's a lot of people that didn't like the MCU version of Wanda. I did, and so I was hoping that they would explore her powers a little differently, but now we have to essentially cheer against her, because, again, I don't think she can redeem herself for what she did to these people. Personally, I was hoping that the show would end with kind of just her and Agatha Harkness being the only two people that actually existed, and maybe those two battling out with magic. And I don't know, let's say Wanda has kind of a mental breakdown and her powers start to go out of control, which would then lead into Doctor Strange. Maybe Doctor Strange shows up to save her from herself. But now it looks like it's going to be Doctor Strange versus Wanda. So I'm sure she'll make for a cool villain, but I don't know. I guess I was just disappointed, that's all. The next show, Falcon, Winter Soldier. I had the biggest hopes for this show, but I was left disappointed. Now, I understand that it's 2021, and our shows are going to have politics mixed in with them. That's just the times we live in. But I was hoping for this show, it would just kind of be underlying tones. But unfortunately, this whole show felt like one giant political message. When I read initially that Zemo was going to be in it, I figured, oh, great. What we'll get is Zemo breaks out of jail, starts up a new terrorist group, and it's up to Cap and Bucky to essentially, save the day. But instead, what we got was Cap and Bucky, well, he wasn't even Cap then technically, but Falcon and Bucky breaking Zemo out of jail so he could teach him some new dance moves, but then help them take down the super soldier serum, say that 5 times fast, anti-patriotism group known as the Flag Smashers. Now, look, I know the show itself directs us to kind of not label everybody as terrorists. And of course, every critic and everybody that reviewed this show tiptoed around that word. But any group that murders people, hurts people, uses fear and intimidation to get what they want is a terrorist group. It is what it is, okay? So I didn't appreciate that overtone. I mean, I know what those groups were supposed to be representing. But at the end of the day, I was also disappointed, I should say, with John Walker's destruction. I mean, he was what? Toxic white Captain America. U.S. Agent was actually a really cool character in the comics, so I definitely was upset that they just kind of destroyed his character. Maybe they can redeem him down the road in the MCU. I don't know, but we'll see. I mean, I felt as though the acting was really good. Sebastian Stan, Anthony Mackie, they're great actors. So, and the guy, I can't think of his name, that plays Zemo, he did a good job too. I mean, so there's no doubting that. But the whole show felt like it was just geared to deliver that one big line, I'm a black man wearing the stars and the stripes. So the political tones just kept coming and coming, and by episode 5 and 6, I was kind of disinterested. I leave my politics to websites and news shows, not my superhero shows. I guess maybe if they would have just put a CNN, insignia down at the bottom of the show the whole time, that's what it kind of felt like. But I wanted this to be an escapism show, not kind of a reminder of current social and political, the environment we live in. So another one that kind of fell flat for me, but each to their own. I know some people really liked it. So we get to Loki. Now, I've just watched the 4th episode, and it's too early to make a call on the show as a whole. It has been interesting, but it has been boring as well. It has its faults. Now, this show is more of a mystery drama than it is an action adventure, and I got nothing against that. It is heavily dialogue driven, but there are a few things that I haven't been a fan of, such as they've reduced the god of mischief to a court jester, and then, the TVA is apparently more powerful than God. I mean, if Thanos showed up to the TVA, they would just slap him into his place as if he didn't even exist. So, kind of lame in my opinion, but I can overlook some of those because, like I said, episode 4 really took the interesting level up a notch. We'll have to see what happens. But before the show even came out, my prediction was, especially with Kevin Feige's message of the female-centric MCU, that we'd be getting a female version of Loki like we had in the comics. Of course, we saw the trailer, and we kind of knew that that was going to come out, and we have Sylvie. Now, I know that what we saw in episode 4, apparently Loki does die. I don't know if that's going to, be permanent for this next 2 episodes, but I figured that he would die at some point, or go back to his timeline and obviously meet his untimely fate eventually, so that we could get Sylvie as the new MCU Loki. I mean, I believe they did confirm season number 2 of this. I don't know if they confirmed which Loki would be in it, but we also have a female Thor movie coming out, so I don't know who the villain in that is going to be, unless they've just released some new information. I haven't really checked in the last couple weeks, but it'd be perfect to have female Loki be female Thor's kind of nemesis. So, we'll see. But again, it's too early to give it a thumbs up or thumbs down, but I will say this for the show. By the time 7, 8, 9 came around for WandaVision, and 5 and 6 came around for Falcon and Winter Soldier, I was, texting people, checking my email, doing things. I've watched all 4 episodes of Loki, so it's got that going for it, I guess. Next, we have the What If series. Now, if you're unfamiliar with the comics, the What If series essentially takes a monumental kind of moment, not always, but they usually take a big moment in time and kind of change one instance. So, like, they have a what if Wolverine killed Hulk in Hulk 181, which is the first appearance of Wolverine. What would have happened? Or, of course, the other one is, what would have happened if Gwen Stacy didn't die? So you see they kind of play around with some really reality-altering situations. Now, I haven't read anything about what these 10 episodes are going to be, and as long as they don't do any type of kind of cop-out issues like, I don't know, what if Captain America was a woman? Well, that's not exactly bumping their heads on the creative ceiling, but if they did something like, what if Thanos' snap erased Cap, Iron Man, and Hulk instead of, the other characters? How would they have solved the situation? Now, that would be interesting, Or what happens if Quicksilver hadn't died in Age of Ultron? Again, it'd be interesting to see what would happen to the MCU if that, occurred. So either way, I believe all 10 of these episodes are independent of one another, so that gives the fans the ability to kind of cherry pick which episodes they want to watch. I'm going to be reading up on them and seeing which ones pique my interest. Maybe 1 or 2 of them, maybe all of them. I don't know, so we'll just have to wait and see. So next we have Miss Marvel. Now, Miss Marvel in the comics, Kamala Khan that is, her books haven't really sold very well. They've tried to push her into some of the bigger events, but the reception hasn't been great. I mean, she's only been around for 15 minutes, but she's already getting a TV show and co-starring in a movie. Now, I know why she's getting a TV show, tongue-in-cheek, we know why. That being said, I really have no interest in the character in the books, so I really have no interest in her show. But for Marvel's sake, they better do a good job for this show because Kamala Khan is supposed to appear in the Marvels film. If the show doesn't do well, then that doesn't bode well for the movie. I mean, who the hell is going to want to go see a movie co-starring a character that had a bad show? So I'm hoping that for Marvel's own sake, they do a good job of at least writing the show. And, I don't know, if I hear great reviews from my inner circle of friends and the people I follow online, I might check it out, but I really just don't have any interest overall with it. The next show is, in a similar fashion, Hawkeye. Kate Bishop's character in the books is pretty cool. I haven't read too much about her, except for when she's kind of in the crossover events or, different story arcs, but I got nothing against her, but I'm not a huge fan. Like I said, I just haven't read much of her. This show, for me, I'm going to pass on unless I hear otherwise. Like I said, if some of my friends in the geek circle really give this 2 thumbs up, I might check it out. But I already know who Hawkeye is. I'm really not interested in his replacement, so each to their own, I guess. Now, after that, we have Moon Knight. This is another show that I'm pretty amped up about because Moon Knight's character has always been very interesting, kind of misunderstood. He's dark. He's got a lot of psychological demons he deals with. So, personally, I don't know how you mess this show up, but this is Marvel Disney, so anything's possible. I'm just hoping they just kind of stick with just a good action. I'm not sure if this is MA or if this is going to be like TV 14 or something, but he's a pretty dark character. So as long as it's not boring, dialogue-driven, it has a lot of politics or agendas in it, I don't see how it can miss. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I'm definitely going to keep my eyes on this show. I can't wait for it to come out, so let's see what happens. Okay, next we have She-Hulk. Now, the She-Hulk character, Jennifer Walters, in the comic was an awesome character. I know a lot of people always consider her kind of just a cheap imitation of the Incredible Hulk, which, I mean, she's his cousin, and yeah, I guess you have some merit there. It's in the name, She-Hulk, but she's always had success in the comics. Her books have always been interesting. She's a very unique character. Her role as an attorney, she could handle herself inside the courtroom and out. She was a standing member of the Fantastic Four when the Thing left the team. And, she was hot. So she had best of all worlds. She had beauty, brains, and brawn. In the comics currently, they've reduced her to, let's see if I can capture this, a mindless, thoughtless, amorphous, sex-crazed beast. Marvel took an already established, unique, independent, strong, intelligent, and beautiful woman and reduced her to whatever the hell they have in the comics. Way to go, Marvel. Big win for feminism there. But as for the show, I guess put it in the same category as Hawkeye. If my circle gives it 2 thumbs up, I'll probably check it out. But on a side note, I read an amusing article about this assault on redheads in the media. I really didn't know what they were talking about, but they listed all these characters that have been race swapped or gender swapped that have red hair. Jimmy Olsen recently in a comic has been swapped. Red Sonja is apparently going to be swapped. And in this show, Titania is going to be swapped out as well. So I thought that was a humorous little article. But it's true, though. I do notice it now that they mention it. And no disrespect to any redheads out there. So after She-Hulk comes the Secret Invasion. Now, the book Secret Invasion had huge hype. And although it wasn't a horrible story, it just didn't live up to the hype. I mean, yeah, it was revealed that some of the big characters had been Skrulls for a long period of time. Unfortunately, one of those characters was not Hank Pym. But at the end of the day, it felt more like a delivery service for the Dark Reign status quo that followed it, which saw Norman Osborn and some of the other villains kind of take the role of heroes. The show apparently is going to center around Nick Fury, and it could be interesting. Obviously, Samuel L. Jackson has done a wonderful job as Nick Fury, so acting's not going to be a problem. I think this show, I'll let it play out, and read about it as it goes and kind of binge watch it because I think it could be an interesting show, but I'll keep my eye on it and see how it turns out. So apparently the Guardians of the Galaxy are going to have a holiday special. Don't really know what to make of that. I don't know if it's going to be like Star Wars Life Day or if it's just going to be a fun kind of family, wholesome Christmas type of movie, but I guess we'll just wait and see. I really don't know what to make of it thus far, but could be cool. I don't know. Afterwards, we have Ironheart, and much like Miss Marvel, Riri Williams, her books haven't really sold well in the comics. You know, they've put her on some teams, they've tried to, push her a little bit more, but ultimately she hasn't been received well. She's been around for 15 minutes, so why is she getting a TV show? I know why she's getting a TV show, but I have no interest in the character in the books. Same thing here. I really don't have any interest unless it gets just overwhelmingly, high praise from everybody, not just critics, but I need to see what my circle says, all that type of thing. So another one that I'll probably pass on. Now, the last show that I have interest in is Armor Wars. I enjoyed the comic arc during, Iron Man's run. Now, obviously, Iron Man won't be in this because Iron Man's no longer in the MCU, but I've always enjoyed Don Cheadle's War Machine. I was glad he got more and more time as the Avengers films went on. So I'm excited to see what he'll do in his own kind of starring role. I think it's only 6 episodes, but that'll be plenty. I think Don Cheadle's a great actor, so I will be interested in this show. I'm going to keep my eye on it and see what what the synopsis is going to be of it. But either way, I'll definitely be tuning in for this show. And then I think finally there is an untitled Wakanda series. I don't know what it's going to be about. I don't know. Obviously, things have changed with Chadwick Boseman's passing. So the last thing I read about it was it's supposed to be a perhaps an origin story of Okoye or the Wakandan women warriors. I don't know. Too early to speculate, so we'll just have to wait till it comes out. So that covers all the shows. I believe I got them all there. Like I said, there's a lot. There's a lot of movies. Phase 4 has a lot going on. Marvel's going to have some pretty tough decisions to make about all these characters they're introducing because, who's going to move on to Phase 5? Who's going to have a more prominent role? Who's going to go from the small screen to the silver screen? Who's going to be on the Avengers? I don't know. There's a lot to take in. Marvel's definitely going to have to make some big decisions moving forward. So as of right now, there's a few shows I'm still interested in, some that I got a hard pass on, and others that, I don't know. I guess I'll just wait and see and read more, maybe watch some trailers, read some reviews, and maybe check them out. Either way, let me know what you think down in the comments. Are you excited about the rest of Phase 4 in general, especially the TV portion? Are you excited about any of the new shows coming out? Are you kind of disappointed with what has already taken place? Either way, let me know. While you're down there, like and subscribe so you know when the next video drops. And until then, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.